Well, today I'm really excited. I have a wonderful guest. His name is Robert Watson, and I met Robert at the New London Community Meal Center is its official name. And Robert was actually Volunteer of the Month a little while ago and has been with the Meal Center, the soup kitchen, for about 18 months, I believe. So has been serving the community and is one of the people that if you go there, you have the opportunity to meet somebody who will shake your hand, give you a huge smile, welcome you like you feel like you are walking into your home and meeting your family. So wonderful and amazing, talented person, very bright, very interesting. So please welcome my guest, Robert Watson. Rob, thank you for coming and being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so excited. So you and I have had a couple of opportunities to chat, since I met you. Gosh, I started back in November actually going into the meal center, had done some things privately like making sandwiches and dropping those off on Saturdays, I guess was the deal. They'd give those out for people to get them through the weekend kind of thing. But just such an interesting place, and I know you like going there because you not only smile, like this big radiant smile, but you light up the room. Tell me how it feels for you when you're at the meal center.
Well, I'm at the meal center, I don't know, I just like to give back to the people.
Okay.
I mean, I feel it's good for myself, in particular, knowing the situations and how I grew up.
Okay.
And what I went through throughout my life to just give someone else a chance to see that it's not all that bad. It's not dire, it's not, you're gonna find someone that's gonna, how you doing today, care about how you feel, give you a hug, and just, make you feel, like, okay, I can come here, I'm kind of safe there. And then also help. You can ask for help and be directed to other resources in the community. So, I love it, and I just, if I really don't go, it has to be a real good reason why I'm not going, and I kind of miss when I don't go because of the people, and I just want them to know that consistency too is key. So they see me there on a regular basis, then relationships are formed, bonds are made. Also that they have someone they can rely on. So that's why I go.
Nice. Well, that's all good. That's all good reasons. So tell me a little bit more, because I think Mary Ann Martinez, who is currently the executive director, has some ideas in mind for something that she might want you to be doing down the road. Is that something that you think might come to fruition?
Well, I hope so. Me and Mary Ann been talking about a lot of different things of expanding the services of the community center, particularly in getting meals to people that can't really get to the meal center.
Okay.
And money is always a key to everything.
Sure.
However, though, she's working with the board and wants me to kind of be able to drive a vehicle if they have a vehicle when they get a vehicle.
Right. So those three things is contingent upon.
And then to serve the community in a way where if they can't make it to the meal center, that they would still be able to have a meal, and I guess I could also bring them a smile and a hug at the same time.
There you go. Wow.
So, but she's very diligent in her work and trying to make this happen, so.
Well, she's been a guest on my show previously, so I did hear a little bit, but I think it's always nice and interesting to hear it from different vantage points, like what do you think and what other people say, and because you actually live in New London, and a lot of people who volunteer at the meal center don't live in New London, right. So there's kind of a blending, I think, of people from different backgrounds and different experiences. So I think that's always really good too. I heard though that a lot of times women don't come in and women with their children don't come in. So I think the idea of a van would be really helpful to access that food, to make that food available for people who are able or willing to come in, right?
Yes, it would be. And that would be, you know, another good idea that, I mean, maybe it could be, like you said, a lot of women with children don't come. I guess the children might be a reason, you know, it's not space for them really. Space can be made probably for them. That's something to definitely look into. I guess also the idea of bringing them. Sometimes, you know, circumstances don't allow the women to be able to bring their children, school, doctor's appointments, you know, stuff like that. Don't have a vehicle to get there. So it would be kind of hard on them to try to do it even with the public bus system to get them down there. However, though, you know, that where the van will probably kind of like ease also their worry too about their food, especially at times of the month where, you know, it gets tighter. You know, everyone knows a little at the end of the month it gets tighter.
Well, we are paycheck to paycheck, right? And it's just like if you don't. I remember borrowing money out of my kids' piggy banks, you know, back in the day when, you know, so I'd put it back. I would return if the kids see this, they'll be like, what? You did what? But no, I totally understand it. Or if I'd find a $5 bill in my pocket, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Where did that come from?
You know, it's definitely, I mean, I seen Mom rob a few piggy banks herself, you know. But yeah, it's just ideas for to expand, you know, to serve the community, and hopefully that we get everyone, you know, involved in, you know, because that's all we got is us.
That's all we have, right?
Yeah, and I look at it. It doesn't matter what fair, whatever, societal, you know, differences and everything that, you know, kind of segregates everybody, you know, needs to be going down, because at the end of the day, we human. People have to, you know, have basic needs, and, you know, I'm there to make sure that I could just do my part.
Nice, very nice. Well, thank you for doing that, and congratulations on being Volunteer of the Month. That's pretty cool. Nice big picture of you and Marianne's office. I was just in there the other day, and there you are up on the bulletin board. So that's really nice. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, you said that as a kid that perhaps there were some times where you had some food insecurity, but. And, you know, I ate a lot of oatmeal and I ate a lot of peanut butter sandwiches, and, you know, meals were simple. There was not an abundance, but we always did eat. So, yeah.
Yes, I definitely relate to that plenty of times. You know, Mom, you know, working, not home able to really cook a meal. Never mind if we have the food to cook a meal. So, yes, meals were simple. Oodles and noodles was a big staple in our diet.
Sure.
Especially at the end of the month, you know, that and crackers and, you know, peanut butter, you know, and, you know, food was, I remember those days. They were kind of you know, real tight, you know. You didn't really understand it.
No.
Or, you know, and you're just thinking, that's just what it is, until you grow up and then you realize, like, you know, Mom really was stretching $1. I mean, so yes, I have that in my mind always. So, you know, and I'm always gonna feel like, you know, I have to just make sure other people don't really experience.
Yeah.
that.
Well, and the thing that I think that's really nice about the Meal Center is Mark happens to be your cousin, right?
Right. Mark is a cousin.
Mark is your cousin, and he is the manager, is his title, if I'm not mistaken, of the kitchen.
Right.
And it's a big kitchen, and there's a lot going on. I really have to, you know, kudos to Mark, because there's a new group of volunteers every single day almost. There's a couple of people who will do a couple of days a week, but for the most part, you have people and they don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to do things, they don't know where things are, but Boy, he's got the patience of a saint. Don't
Yes.
tell him I said that,
Well,
but
they'll probably see it anyway. So, but yes, Mark has been even a kind of an inspiration to me and myself, because I know how, you know what I'm saying, where we come from, how we grew up, and what he's accomplished. And his service to the community is way longer than mine, but it also allowed me to have access to the meal center and to serve the community in a way where I was like, man, this is really, it's really like something good to do.
it's substantial, is what I think. Yeah.
And so, yeah, without really Mark being there, you know, as a regular worker, and then now as promoted to manager, I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I'm kind of glad for that, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our higher power, you know, finds ways in every, you know, in every situation for us to be the best at, you know, what we do and how we do it, and the people we meet and how we interact with those people.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yes, Mark has been a good, definitely a good, how can I say,
Well, good buddy, good friend, good mentor.
that and a good way in. So it was good. And he's my cousin, so that's a benefit and a bonus.
Absolutely, a bonus. Yeah, because you guys go way back. You have
Yes,
family history and relatives that are the same. Yeah. Well, one thing I want to touch on before we move on to another subject is just how good the food is there and what a good job he does do with the food that comes in and ordering the food and laying out the menus and kind of what is presented to the public. And we do taste tests in the kitchen. Yesterday he pulled something out and he said he doesn't like pork, doesn't eat pork, so wanted me to try it. I was the guinea pig, so I had a little bite of it. And yeah, it's good, Mark, you know, this is good. He goes, does it need anything, you know? So the care, I think, and the pride that goes into that process is really impressive to me.
Yes, Mark can cook.
Mark can cook. Well, and I ask him, Mark, do you like to cook? And, you know, he's peeling a potato, and he'll say, yeah, sometimes. And I'll say, Mark, you should say it's appealing.
Yeah, right.
He even puts up with my corny jokes. So, no, yeah, it's part of the job, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. So you said that you played football back in the day, back where you were in high school, and you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yes, I did. I played high school, Pee Wee League.
Uh-huh.
Also, a little bit of semi-pro.
Okay.
Okay. My coach in high school.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Ryan.
Mr. Ryan. You know, Ryan's a family name for me. My mother was a Ryan, and I named my oldest Ryan after her. So, good name. So, Mr. Ryan, what did Mr. Ryan do?
Good connections. Mr. Ryan was a real mentor
Nice.
for me. You know, my father left when I was very young, so I had my uncles, but my uncles were off on their own. A couple of them, and there was one around. However, though, he was kind of more introverted to himself, and really. So Mr. Ryan was like that mentor, role model.
Kind of like a substitute dad to some extent.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And he used to try to keep me on the right path as far as my grades, and, you know, and then on the field, and try to correct some of the bad behaviors that us teenagers get in when we're teenagers and don't know no difference, but think we know everything of the
course.
world, and we don't know nothing at all. So yes, Coach Ryan, you know, I never forget him. You know, I mean, I forgot a lot of people throughout my years, but I never forgot him. And then my coach Fitch for the semi-pro, he was another one, you know. He was a strict disciplinarian as a coach, and he wanted the best out of, you know, everything, which was good, fine and dandy. A little bit of rebelliousness in my part, I think, didn't allow my career in that to go a little more forward, because I felt I know everything. I knew everything. So that went to the wayside as far. But I also got injured, and then instead of rehabbing it to come back, you know what I'm saying, I just healed it, and then I said I'm gonna figure life out on my own. I didn't want to do it no more because of the pressures. However, though, of life at that time, you know, not sure what I'm doing, and just a confused young man at the time. So yes, football was an escape in a way. I liked it. Then when it became that I could make a living off of it, it was more harder than it was. It wasn't really as fun. So I guess that was the reason why that I didn't continue.
And that's fine. You know, it's. I think it's good to have that athletic training, the discipline, the team. You know, you know, you can be the star of the team, but it's still a team that gets you to the end game, right? And scoring the goals and touchdowns. So yeah, no, and that's really important and all of that. And it sounds like maybe if you skipped a practice, that there might have been some repercussions for some of that.
It was good. Definitely, football is a team sport. It's definitely, you need different. I look at it like life is the same now, as that, because you need different people to do different things to be successful.
Right.
You know,
we're not an island.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone needs different, and just like on the football field, everyone has to a position or a job to do.
Right.
And if everybody does it, then everyone in that is successful.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not an individual thing, you know. And it did instill in me that, but I've been instilled. It's that family model that we help each other anyways. With my grandmother when she was raising me some parts of my life, so football would be like the next thing that you would connect to, because it's the same type of environment. Family is team oriented. You stick together. You stick together. You work together. You know, to succeed for one goal. You know, and as I got older, that's a philosophy, and that's definitely a path to success for all people, to alleviate these ills of society. But you know, we still at a time where, you know, I stands out a lot. Not we.
Right, and there's no I in team. I've seen people write that out there, and put that out there. That's really an important perspective. Like, it has to be a group. It has to be,
So also it's trust.
Right.
Trust is a factor in everything. You know, like on the football field, you got to trust your teammate to do his job. You got to trust that they're going to do it, and everyone does it. You know, you're successful. You know, if someone doesn't do it, then, you know, you're not. And that's how I see society. The same way I look at society like that. It's like, if everybody's not doing their job, then we're not successful as a society. Yes, we have individual success, but what good is individual success if all around you isn't? Everyone's not successful, or they're you know, in dire need of whatever, and you're successful. You're standing on your, you know. And they say it's lonely at the top. It definitely is. So I just think football is you know, well, you got basketball too, you got other, but football is the main, because it's more people on the field, and the field of life is more people, multicultural, you know, whatever, and they all working together for a goal.
Right, and I've heard the same thing pretty much. You know, if you go to Mystic Seaport and you talk to the curators there, and they'll talk about what it was like back in the day when these big boats would go out, and, you know, they'd stop at a port and they'd get some more people on, and people like all different cultures and backgrounds and languages. They didn't even speak the same language, and all of a sudden they're relying on each other to keep that boat moving.
Exactly.
And, you know, and those are some of the best experiences I think that you can have as a youth. So, and you can carry that forward.
Yes.
So
definitely, they need that. Everyone needs that.
Absolutely. Well, that's
So,
that's really good. I like that. So you told me once that you were a strong admirer of Malcolm X. And you
yeah.
know, Malcolm X is from Omaha, where I grew up in Nebraska. So what about Malcolm do you like, or do you think that he was able to bring to us as a society? 'Cause
Okay. Well, I never heard of him. First of all, throughout my years of school and stuff like that. But getting in trouble as a youth and been sent away to some reformatories, I happened to get a book, and that's the autobiography of Malcolm X. So I said, well, let me, I'm always intrigued. I mean, I didn't like reading in school, but this kind of was like different from anything that I ever heard from the educational system, even from society or whatever. And so I read it, and I was intrigued how, not only, his life story, which was kind of mirroring mine in a way, but the resilience he had when he was in prison and to better himself. I mean, he didn't let this situation and the circumstances dictate that, I can't do nothing better, and he educated himself and came out, and yes, his rhetoric in the beginning was very racial, very most people can say kind of a violent orientated message, However, though, under the circumstances and the time, it has to be put in its proper perspective.
because it was back in the 60s. There were some tough
50s and
times,
60s,
50s and 60s,
yeah.
right? So those were some tough times. That
Right.
segregation and race riots and just there were lots of.
Right. So so I understood the message at the time is that and it's fair today. Everyone has a right, to defend themselves and to be safe, and secure in their home, in their communities. And I see now as a older man the ideas that they were trying to set forth at that time. However, though, we move forward into where now in his life and as he grew as a man, in society and the dealings with society and how things have changed in society before his life was taken, is that it doesn't have to be on a racial line. As far as the inclusion in the community, yes, communities were segregated, different times, but that doesn't mean that the community still couldn't thrive together. And each one still helping each one, even if they wanted to live in that way. That's a choice. Everyone has a choice. We can't take people's choices away from them, but there still can be inclusion. And I think that's what he was fighting for later on in his life, was that the communities can still live together side by side. Just allow people to thrive, live by their own means of how they can, make it without being dictated and told what to do or scared to, do something. However, though, I mean, that can go on a plethora of things that, in the black communities. Well, however, though, I don't look at it like that from that perspective, nitpick on each little thing. I just try to look at the overall picture of his life and how he, what he came from and how he used to serve the community at one point, and then how the community was reacted to his, the change, in the philosophy. So he was definitely an inspiration, but it was also something new and different that was never, told on the, I guess you could say, the mainstream in the educational system or TV about him. So it was
Well, I'm on the school board in East Lyme, so one of the things that we try to talk about is having people that the kids can relate to, and you've given a couple of examples of that, like Mr. Ryan reaching out to you and Mr. Fletcher reaching out to you, and then later on the autobiography of Malcolm X. And that connection, like you said, is just so important. And you're saying now that you're making that connection, so you're basically paying back and doing that same kind of thing with other people. Like maybe somebody goes into the meal center for the first time. If they don't have someone who connects with them, maybe they'd rather go hungry than grab a bite to eat when you know that they need to nourish their body to be able to go and do things that we would want them to do in the community. So that circle, I think, is a continual pattern, is what I'm seeing for what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, with that, commonality, though, the people, like you said, will not feel comfortable if they don't see someone they can relate to or they have a common, interest with and stuff like that. And that, it's primal, but it's
important. It's real.
It's real. People. People are like that. People are. New. Sometimes is new or different, or information is given that's not necessarily true, but they tend to believe about how different people are. But you gotta really be in it. So if somebody at the meal center sees someone that they can relate to, he's in the community, and you're gonna be an example to them, then yes, they will come to the community meal center. They will see a friendly face. Me personally, will give them a hug, and I would let them know that, you are welcomed. Somebody understands, somebody cares, and this is the place.
This is the place. This is the place. Well, thank you so much, Robert. And I don't know, we're about up for time. We can have you back as a guest again. Is there any last little pearl of wisdom you want to share?
Well, I would love to be back as a guest.
Okay.
And I love talking, but I do love doing. I understand time as a commodity.
It is.
The most
truly
important
is.
Thing that we can ever give. People, I understand they do good works. I'm not taking away from the people that donate money and, stuff and whatever, but time is a commodity that you can't get back. You can give your money, you can, give stuff, you always buy stuff, you can earn more money back, but time you can't.
Well, it comes from the heart. It
And
comes
that's right.
from, the physical strength and the will of somebody showing up and doing all that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that,
Yeah.
because you really shine. Your light shines with these people, with us when we're there. So really appreciate all that you do and what you do for the community. So thank you so much for being a guest, and
Thank you.
please come back. Love to have you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you too for your service and your volunteer work. We need it, and I would definitely be back.
Oh, great. Thank you, Robert.
All right.
That's it.